asked, you know, should we make those lines? I mean, in my personal opinion, I don't think so, because I think that African American culture for women, like to dance, that's self-expression. Whether you're doing ballet or whether you're like doing a stanky leg or whether you're doing what Sierra did, I think it's a means of self-expression. So, I mean, as the general public, I don't think it's our responsibility. Now, for a 3-year-old to be doing that, like, what are her parents? There are certain things that you just don't let your children watch. You know what I mean? Like, if she goes to preschool, she shouldn't be watching Sierra ride. But if you have her at home for 8 hours a day or whatever, you should know, like, as a parent, I'm not going to turn that on to her to watch. You know, I just think that those are the lines. Like, as parents, you do that for young individuals. But as a grown woman, if I want to dance on a pole in my room, then I should be able to dance, you know? Or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think, like, I'm wondering who gets to draw those lines in
Right.
society. Like, is it just the white man who's choosing where the line is drawn? Because if it's the artists, and I like what you're talking about with making their own websites, make their own calendars, and the power that they have in that, but then, you know, who publishes or who
Right.
produces, like, all of those questions just make it so much
Right.
more confusing. I don't know, I guess that's
Yes,
not even a
no,
question.
it is ultimately confusing, right? It's these kind of intersecting power dynamics, right, that you can't escape, right? We can't escape that popular culture is mitigated through certain channels, right? That Viacom owns BET, right? Who owns Viacom, right? So there's no way to think about this outside of other kinds of narratives. And if at the top level, right, the narrative is still like, we still want to see, we still are fascinated and fearful of black female bodies that are sexually, you know, suggestive, right? That can still exist, right? But do we take that narrative and let that limit how then let women access performance, right? And access subjectivity, right? How then do you upturn that? Like, how do you override that or debunk that if you don't give in to the possibility that these women are finding new ways to express themselves and express sexuality, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't think, as you said, I don't know whose responsibility it is to draw the line, and I think those drawing the line have very clear intentions about what that is, right? I think it was a very clear intention to censor Sierra versus any number of other videos that have very sexually explicit language, videos, and things like that. Very interesting example when, I think it was on Ellen, or maybe it was like the Today Show or something, and they had Soulja Boy on there doing, you know, Superman, right? Crank That Superman. It's a highly offensive, really, really explicit song that places women in a certain position, but I mean, it's caught on nationwide, it's done at like weddings, and you know, it's like familiar dance, you know, and yet you have a subject in which it's like, wait a minute, is someone trying to take control and not function as an object, right? We're comfortable with what we're familiar with in terms of social scripts, right, of race and gender and sexuality and power, right? But we're not familiar with what happens when that's upturned and someone challenges that through the same usage of their body, right? Yes.
Oh, I was just